Hi friends, today we're making trapper keepers. I'm going to be doing an upgraded version. I'm going to see if I can make an even sturdier version. This is using a thin chipboard and it's fine. I just want to see if I can make it thicker. But I make these out of chipboard and cardstock and we're going to make one today. These are fab. I love them. So chipboard is what we're going to be needing. Cardstock, I like to use Fabri-Tac as my glue. If you're going to put in a mechanism, you're going to need a screwdriver, scissors, nothing crazy, maybe some cutting tools, scoring tools, things like that. So I'm going to cut down my chipboard. It's going to be 6.5 by 8.5. That'll be the front and the back cover. My spine is going to be 8.5 by 1.5, and my flap for the front of it is going to be 2.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my stuff down. I'll be right back. All right, friends. So what we have here is a front and a back. We have a spine and we have a flap. And today what I think I'm going to do, because I'm trying to make this thicker, I'm cut out 2 for each. I'm going to glue these together, and that's going to make an even thicker chipboard. You can buy this thicker too, so that's the other option, is just buy thicker chipboard. So I'll do that next time. I'm just using up what I have. So I cut 2 of each so I can glue them together and make them thick, and I'm going to glue that and I'll be right back. Okay friends, I'm back. We have glued everything together. The next steps are getting your cardstock. So this is going to be the paper we use to wrap the outside of your book. You can do this plain and then do a lot of embellishing on the front. You can do this with a pat. It's really up to you. How you decorate's up to you. The other thing we need to do is take our flap, and we're going to do with a corner rounder. Now I did this after I glued it, so I might have to do this by hand. We want to cut out the corner of the flap. Just on one side, both ends. So 1, 2, and that's going to be the flap, and it's rounded. So now what we're going to do is take our chipboard and put it aside for a minute. We're going to need some 1/4-inch double-sided tape. This is just so you don't have to measure. But what we're going to do is take 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock. It's up to you what you use. I do think that at least 60 pound or more. And then what we're going to do is take double-sided tape. I'm going to run a strip down the side here and attach this to it like that. Okay? And I'll be right back. 1/4 inch. Okay, so what I have now is one very long piece of paper. So this is now 12 by 24. And this is going to be the outside of my book. So what I'm going to do is flip it over, because I will be gluing my papers to the inside here. Fabri-Tac is the glue I'll use. And today, let's just dry fit it. So this is where we're just going to lay it down and make sure everything fits. We do want the middle of one of the flaps to be overlapping the crease here. We don't want that crease on a seam. It makes it so that it's not as sturdy. So I'm going to dry fit this, and then I'm going to glue it all down. We're going to leave 1/8 of an inch between the spine, maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch between the spine and the flaps. And then on the end, we're going to leave about an inch, maybe another 2 inches, 1.5 to 2 inches space between this and this. Okay, so I'm going to glue it all together, and I'll be right back, and I'll show you how that looks. So flap, 2 inches, back, spine, front. Leave a little bit of a gap, like 1/8 of an inch between the spines, just so you can fold it up nicely. And then you want to leave 1 inch here, at least 1 inch here. And we have plenty of room up at the top. We might even cut it away. And I'll show you here. We're going to cut some of this away. All right, so I'm going to glue, and I'll be right back. All right, friends, if you're looking like this, you're right on track. So what we've got here is the front, the spine, the back, a spacing, and then the flap. Okay, so now we just want to make sure everything's really glued down well. What I'm going to do now is cut away what we don't need. So we do need, you know, 1.5 inches or so around everything here, so we can fold it down. So we just kind of want to mimic what we have here. We can round around these edges here, and just like that, and cut away everything. Okay, we're just going to cut away from here into there. I'll be right back. All right, so we're all cut away. We now have even edges, and we're on to the next step already. So this will be the front. Love it. This is the back, okay, or the inside really. And we're going to be covering this too. This is just creating the shell of the Trapper Keeper. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through and I'm going to fold, and you can score on these edges as if you'd like, but what we're going to do is pre-fold on all of our edges here before we glue anything. So we're going to come through and just on all of the edges and all of the seams, we're going to just go ahead and make our creases now. It just helps with the gluing process. Don't crease this. I'll show you how we're going to round this here. That's going to be our flap, and we like to have that rounded. But everything else we're going to do a seam. And then even on these edges, we're going to fold these up and be real gentle with that, but we want to fold all that too. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. I want to make a point too when you're folding. When you get to these seams here, it's really important that you score in them. So this is also a good time to get a scoring tool possibly. This is going to help with the gluing process. Oop, look, I even tore it. And that's okay. We're gluing this down. Don't freak out. You can even tape this with some cleared tape right now. This will probably end up getting covered. But, you know, again, getting into these areas here where the seams are and where the creases are really important. So I just wanted to touch base with that, is to really make sure you're scoring and getting these seams. And this doesn't need to be like hard, like I've already, like I said, tore that, and that's okay. Don't freak out. We don't need to stop because of that. But just get your seams. Okay, so again, coming along, getting all those seams. And you can use a scoring tool. I'm just using my fingernail. I mean, it's probably not the best idea, but that's just how I am. And then again, coming up onto this end, folding it up, getting a good crease. It's important down here. Again, get in there and really, you know, get your creases done. Okay, so I'm going to finish up. I'll be right back. All right, I'm pretty creased well. Now the next steps we're going to do is glue all of this together. But before that, we're going to cut away corners. So on the pointy corners, not the rounded corners, but the pointy corners, we're going to taper the edges out. And that, what I mean by that is just coming in and cutting away this little corner flap. Just like that. I'm going to do it on this side as well. It's just bulky when you have this here. You don't need it. So by cutting it away, it gives it a nice corner. And on these edges, we're going to do something called making eyelashes. And because it's round here, we want to kind of keep this roundedness. So what I'm going to do is just cut away some of that. I don't need it all. And I'm going to come in and just make literally like little eyelashes. I'm cutting just to the cardboard. And I'm making these little slits that are going to help keep a rounded edge when we glue it down. It's the same thing. We're going to come in here. I don't really need all that, so I'm going to cut some of that away and make little eyelashes. Okay. Now let's get to gluing. So this part, we're going to be gluing each section down. So really pay attention. You're getting glue into this seam here. Don't get too gloppy. We don't want this real sloppy. So be you know, good amount of glue, but don't over glue. And then what you're going to do is fold them over and hold them and secure them down. When we get to these areas here, again, make sure that when we get in here, you really want to get a nice little zhuzh, zhuzh, zhuzh into the creases so that your paper is sticking in there. Okay? So I'll start a little bit here with you, and then I'm going to speed up, and then I'll show you how to do the eyelashes. So again, you really want to make sure you get into this crease right here. And I don't go right to the edge because when you push down, it's going to squeeze out a little bit. But you do want to get it close to the edge because you want it to squeeze up to the edge, if that makes sense. So just some glue. Just holding it so it stays in place. Okay. Let's do the other end. And I'll show you how to do these eyelashes. Eyelash time. So I like to do a little bit here. You're going to get a little messy on your finger because it helps to kind of just do that and then do that. Just make sure you're not getting it on your table. Okay, so then what I'm going to do with my thumb, I'm just pushing right in the corner. And I'm pushing the eyelashes into this glue I just laid down. And then I'm just holding it. We can smooth this later, and I'll show you how to do that. But right now, let's just get these glued there. Okay, so that's all that is. We're going to do that to the other side. I'm going to glue these down, and I'll meet you right back. All right, friends, I'm here on my last edge. I figured I'd do it with you. I put glue down. I'm just taking my finger and lightly kind of just pressing it down. Okay, so folding it up. And again, making sure I'm paying attention to these little seams that I get in here with my fingernail. You can also like put your fingernail in the seam and hold it and then bend up. And what we're really trying to do is make it so your paper lays flat and it's not coming up when you're opening your book. So again, both sides, just making sure that your seams are holding down nicely. And then same here in your flap. Get into that crease. And then just make sure everything's laying flat. And what we have here then is your entire, ooh, I'm shaking. The shell of your Trapper Keeper is pretty much done. So this will be, we haven't done anything with the flap yet, folks. But this is the beginning of it. Okay. Now you can go ahead and decorate this even further. You can add more decorations on the front if you want. I think I'm going to laminate my front, and I'll show you how I do that. We do still need to add paper to the insides here. We still have a lot of work to do. I just wanted to show you where we're at. We're at the shell. If you made it here and you're looking like this, you've done a great job. So let me think about where I want to move next on my next steps. And I'll be right back. All right, so let's talk about the curve of the flap. So the curve of the flap is this here. And it's already kind of curved. Do you see that? You give it an extra space so it kind of creates its natural curve. And that's what we want to keep. So I'm just going to stay with that. I used to score it. You can take a scoring tool and score lines about 1/8 of an inch apart all the way down here. And it'll give you like a ridge. And that really does help with manipulating it. But I also find when I laminate these that they'll do a nice job naturally curving themselves. So what I'm really doing here is just trying to accentuate the curve. And what I do is I just put my finger in here and I just bend, and it naturally wants to curve. And I just go with it. You know, I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just keeping the curve, right? And I'm just kind of rolling it. So that's how I've been doing my curves, especially because when I laminate the front. And you see that? It kind of gives it its own natural curve there. So that's all I want to do with that. See? Okay. So I think I'm trying to debate if I want to laminate the front first and then go ahead and decorate the inside, or should we just do that first? I think I'm going to decorate the inside first. Let's just get there first, and then we'll do the lamination. So decorating the inside is super easy. You're just cutting panels for each of the spaces here. So an inside panel here, an inside panel for your spine, an inside panel for your back, and then an inside panel here. So let's go ahead and cut those, and I'll come back and I'll show you what I have for my insides. Okay? Okay, so what we have here is paneling for all the insides here. So we have one for here, and a panel for the flap. The flap I'm going to put aside. I'm going to laminate that before I put that on. But these three pieces I can glue right on in, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you here. Alrighty, so there we go. So we have the inside covers. And does feel very sturdy with the thicker cardstock. A chipboard, I do like that already. So now what I want to do is laminate some things before I put it together, because before I put my mechanism in, I do want to laminate the front. And because I'm laminating the front, I'm going to laminate the flap because the Velcro sticks much nicer to a laminated surface. Sometimes on the non-laminated, it can pull up off the paper. So the laminate just seems to work, you know, it sticks better to that plastic kind of feeling. So let's touch base too about corners real quick. So when we do our rounded corners, if you see, forgive my very dirty fingernails because I have glue and potting soil. But what you can do is take the end of a scissors, something hard, maybe your scoring tool, and I just put some pressure into the corner and press down. And just to reinforce the round and to get any kind of rough edges out, if that makes sense. So then it just looks just a little nicer if you see. So you see how there's like little jagged edges. Just come in with your scissors and something hard and rub into it. Round your edge. Okay, so it's a little trick for that. All right, I'm going to get some laminate. I'm going to come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do with laminate. All right, back with laminate. This is self-laminating on a roll. And normally I would do laminate the whole thing, but it's been coming apart sometimes around the edges, around like the ceiling side, mainly because this is so thick. So I've been playing with just laminating portions of it and not the whole thing. So you still get that nice laminated look, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is just measure the length of my Trapper Keeper onto the laminate. See that? And I'm going to cut away what I don't need. And what I'm going to do is open up this laminate. I'm going to put something heavy to hold the weight on this end for right now so I don't mess anything up. So I'm just going to grab, what do I have? Just like a paperweight and hold it right there. Because what I'm going to do right now is start one section at a time. So I'm going to lay that down. Lay that down, press hard. I'm going to open up my laminate all the way. Lay that down. One sec. All right, folks, so fully laminated. Now, let's talk about lamination because A, you don't need it. B, you can really mess your stuff up. C, I'll be fully transparent. I messed this one up already. I'm not going to stop, though. This isn't something I'm selling. This is something I'm using myself. So I'm going to still use it. But is it perfect? No. Look, I had to pull off the first laminate because it totally didn't do well. I went on wrinkly and I had to pull off, and look, that came off. But you know what? It's such, and look here too. It's such a busy pattern that almost you can't even tell. And I don't care. I'm using this personally. So I'm just being fully transparent that the laminating process can really screw up. You can really mess up your product. So it might be good to try these without lamination first. And then once you get down the habit of how to make a trapper keeper, then like step up into the lamination world. Like even here, I can feel a little ridge here that's not been done perfectly. So just from past experience, the lamination is tricky. If not done right, you could ruin everything that you've done so far. So just take it with baby steps. Know that it is probably an intermediate step of it. But just wanted to show you that with the flap. See, I still have my curve. I like that. I'm going to laminate separately this piece here, and then I'm going to glue this down there, right? So I'll put this on a piece of laminate this way. I just want this side covered with laminate, and I'm going to glue that down. I might even cut a piece and laminate the inside here of the flap. I'm debating, so let me go ahead and laminate this so then we can move on to the next steps. Okay, be right back. All right, I made the executive decision to laminate here and the flap. So what I did was just cut a piece of laminate, and as you can see, it's still hanging. I have to cut away the edge, and I just attached it to the flap. It just makes it, because a flap is a heavily used part of the book. You're opening it often, that the lamination just gives it a little extra support. So just taking my scissors, and I'm going to cut away that laminate from the other side that is not needed. And now I have a laminated flap and a laminated cover. I'm happy with it. I mean, I know I messed that up, but I could care less at this point. This is going to be replacing my recipe book in my kitchen. So this is absolutely fine. I kind of liked the kind of beat up look a little bit from having it ripped off a little bit. It just makes it look a little more vintagey. The flap's going to cover this up. I'm not mad at it. So again, if you're going to approach lamination, know that you can mess your stuff up like I just did. And I'm pivoting. I'm recovering. I'm going with it. All right, so the next steps we're going to do is add some mechanisms in, which would mean adding in the piece here, which would allow us to have folders and things like that. We can also add in some pockets and pouches and sticker pages and folders. And yeah, this is the fun part, is now just kind of putting your entire Trapper Keeper together. I think I ran out of my back clips, so I might have to go clip free on the back today, or just use a regular clip. So let me go get a few things and I'll show you how we finish the Trapper Keeper. All right, we're back with some stuff. Let's get into it. So let's do the mechanism. So this, let's not. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put some of these on. These are 4x6 self-adhesive photo sleeves. They fit perfectly into these Trapper Keepers, one on each side, and that creates a pocket. So they're self-adhesive. You don't need to do anything. I just line it up on the bottom to the paper that I put in the back, and there you go. Just let that sit, and then you have a pocket. I'm going to do this one as well. Normally I like to put a clip. I don't have one, so I ran out. You can also just add one of these on. So these are just regular clips, and you can put that here in the back. And what it does is allow you to have something under here, or you could do silver. You can also attach them with mechanisms. I just don't have them today, so this is an alternative. Let's do this mechanism. So this isn't complicated. The only thing you might need to do is create a buffer if this doesn't fit with the screws, and I'll show you what that means. So first off, what we're going to do is just line this up in the middle of our spine where we like it. I'm going to take my awl and just make a little hole. You can see where I put them. Then what you're going to do is take your big old hole punch and you're going to punch out your hole. Okay, I got 2 holes. It matches my mechanisms. Your mechanisms come with screws. So you're going to go ahead and grab 2 of those. Comes with the hardware you need. 2 males, 2 females. All right, this is where you're going to find out if you're going to need some extra buffering. So go ahead and place your bottom pieces in. Okay, put this guy on top. This part will need a screwdriver to screw these things in. Now what I mean about a buffering is if when you go to screw this in, and I'll do this right now, and it's just keeps on turning and it doesn't feel like it's getting tight, you need to add something in between the mechanism and the bore and the spine to make it tight. And that's just like a piece of paper you can hide. And sometimes the laminate is thick enough. Like I feel like I'm getting a good pull. I don't think I need to add anything. Sometimes that, like, you know what too? I have a doubled up chipboard. I think that's what's making the difference. I normally just do a single layer of chipboard. Since I did 2 on this, it feels pretty thick. But if you don't get that tight, what you can do is fold a piece of paper, and I'll show you an example. Just fold a piece of paper like accordion style or like this. What you want to do is fold it and hide it underneath. Make the same marks, punch out your holes, and what you're going to do is this goes underneath this, and it gives you some extra thickness so your screws go in tight, if that makes sense. You're just like mimicking the spine with paper. Cut out, punch a hole to match your holes. It goes underneath between the spine and the mechanism just as a buffer. I'm feeling pretty tight today. I think the thicker cardstock makes it, makes it so you don't need to reinforce anything here. So I'm feeling pretty good on that. So there you go. That's installed. Open it up. Let's just start doing it. All right. So I put in every single Trapper Keeper a pouch. This puts, just like the original Trapper Keepers, they came with a little pouch that you could store your pencil, your eraser, stickers, whatever you had back in the 80s and 90s. I like to do, this is going to be a recipe book for my kitchen. So these are photo pages. You can buy these like on Amazon. And these will hold 3x5 cards, 4x6 cards for recipes. I do like a sticker page. Always fun to add some stickers in. And then because it is a recipe book, this is a fun thing too, where you can add some of these pockets in. So these are the ones that we just put in here, but instead of taking them off of the backing, I'm going to keep it on there. I'm going to put some hole punches in it and just attach it right in, and it creates kind of just like another pocket sleeve, something you can throw a recipe card in or some blank cards. So you see that? And then I can put stuff in here. So I'm just going to put a few of those in. And then I'm going to make a folder. I laminate my folders. I'll show you how I do that. And I'm excited. Now I can move over my old recipe book, which is so old. It's probably 25 years. It is so old and falling apart. So this is, again, another way just to add in some pockets. And let's make a folder. And then the last thing I'll do is put on my Velcro. And I like to let that just sit for a while before I open it back up. And I don't want it to come off. So let's make a folder for this. All right. I've got, if anyone liked this paper that I've been using, it's from this Craftsmith Sprout and About. This is so fabulous. Absolutely love this paper. Ooh, let's make a folder with this for sure. And then let's make a folder. I saw another piece that I liked. This one. These were on sale at Michael's for $5.99. So I picked up 2 because I loved it so much. And if you know me, I'm a big gardener. All right, off the bat, I'm just going to fold these in half. We're making folders. I'm going to make 2 kinds. I do like to laminate them just because again, it's going to be in a kitchen, so it will hold up a little more. I'm going to make 2 kinds. One will be the traditional fold-up style, and the other will be a different style. So let me just measure how big this needs to be. I just like to go like that. It lets me know. All right, so I like that. When you open it, it's a folder this way. You can just glue down your sides here, or you can staple them, whatever you want to do. I think I want to staple mine, but I don't have that near me. So what I am going to do, we got to laminate this too. So let me laminate. I guess I'm going to have to. Let me glue the sides, and then I'll laminate. And I'm just going to laminate one side of these like I did before, cut it away. Again, I just like, I think it just makes it a little more durable. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing this, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I have 2 folders. One is, both are folded in half, 12 by 12 sheets. This one is then folded up, and I glued the sides. So you have pocket folders this way. That's one folder. This folder, again, I folded it in half, and then I cut away the bottom. I didn't fold it up. But what I do have are these accent pieces that I cut, and I'm going to glue them in, well, I'm not going to glue them, actually. What I'm going to do is laminate, and then what I'll do is glue them down. So let's laminate, and I'll show you how to do these. I did make a different tutorial on how to make laminated folders, but we're here, so we're going to do it. So what I'm going to do, again, is pull out 2 pieces of laminate that are the length of each folder, and I'm just laminating this side, and I'll cut that away. This one's a little different, so I'll show you that one on camera. This one, again, we're going to take a piece of laminate, the length of our folder, and we're going to cut it away. I'm wrong. I'm moving too fast. One sec, because we didn't add in our pieces. So I'll cut this for this folder here, and then I'll show you again. Messing up. All right, that's for that. Let's do this again. For this folder, we're not only going to need a piece for the folder, but we're going to lay down these pieces as well. So we're going to need to be able to cut out room for that. So one on that end, and one on this end. And that's how much laminate we need to cut away. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut away the laminate that I need just for this. And then I'll be right back. All right, we got laminate down. I've pulled it out. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my first piece, which is going to be a flap. Put that right there. And then next to the flap, I'm going to put my folder. It's okay to leave a little bit of a gap because we are going to be folding it. And right on the edge. Let's see if I can move this around so you can see. We got one more flap to put on. So that flap, folder, and a flap. Again, working with laminate, patience and understand you could be, you know, it's forgiving. So an easy way to cut this too, so you're not gunking up your scissors so much, is to cover the top piece with that pull away that you did. And then this is a lot easier way to cut this out. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to cover my other folder and I'll be right back. All right, and we're back with laminated folders. So this was our original. Again, we laminated just the one side. This one was a good laminate. No bubbles, no issues. And now we can punch holes in it and put it in our book. This is the other one. So let's finish this. So this is our folder. This is the way it looks coming out of the laminate. Okay. These are our flaps. So actually these are going to be turned inside like this. And then I'm just going to glue down at the bottom here. And that's just going to keep that closed. And then we have two different style of folders. One's a, you slide it in, and one you put it on the side. So there's that one. Put a little glue here. Look at that string of glue. I'm just going to hold it there so that maybe I'll put something on it. One there. Something to hold it here while that glues. And let's go ahead and punch some holes in this. This is my 6-punch hole puncher for Trapper Keepers. It's perfect for cutting the holes we need for these to put into our book. These can be a little thicker when they're laminated, so just be careful once you start putting your punches in. This thing might want to eat it, so I'm going to do that off camera and do it gently so I don't tear it up, and I'll meet you back. All right, it didn't eat it today. Yay! So that hole puncher, again, is 6 holes, and it's perfect for the mechanisms that we have in our Trapper Keeper. So we've got one more over here to do, so let's do this one. So again, this is meant to have things be held that way inside. So I do like a different style of folder. I like, again, things gotta keep things interesting. All right, let's put this guy in. Gotta always make sure everything's pulled to the back. Give it a little punch. And let's go in with our Trapper Keeper. I think I always like the pouch first, but then this green is so fabulous. So let's put this behind that. So when you open it, bam, look at that. Love it. And then let's put this guy in the back here. And folks, these are handmade, homemade Trapper Keepers. These are fabulous. I absolutely love it. Even in messing up a little bit on this one, I'm still loving it. All right, so the last steps that we have to do, I'm going to put this up a little bit so you can see it a little better, is put on this Velcro. And let's do it. So Velcro comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I'm going to use this. Let me just cut a piece away right off the bat. I don't want it huge, but I don't want it so small it's not keeping things shut. So let's do this size. Okay, what I like to do is pull it apart first. The first pull apart is the hardest. So then I'm going to pull away the fuzzy part. I'm going to put that on here. And then I'm going to pull the top piece here. I'm going to show you another thing that can happen with these, and I'll show you a boo-boo that's happening and why that's happening. That's why I like these tutorials and making mistakes, so you know, A, know that we all make mistakes. B, things look easier than they actually are sometimes. So this here is a reaction of glues. So when you use Fabri-Tac and lamination, the two different glues that are on them do not like each other. So sometimes when they interact, they bubble. So I just want to let you to know, sometimes you have to really be careful that your glues are either dry before you adhere them. sometimes at these corners where that glue seeps out is where you're going to find those. That's what that is. Okay. All right, back to that. So we've taken this off. I just want to now come in and line it up right where I want it. Make sure my spine is curved going in. And there we go. Just going to come in and seal it. Now this is laminate to laminate, the Velcro. So it actually adheres a whole lot faster and better than like paper to paper with the Velcro. So this will probably, I could probably take this off sooner than later. Oh, immediately. Look at that. So there you go. You have your Velcro closure like the original Trapper Keepers. You know, let me get that spine a little bit. I just want to curve it some. And again, don't be scared to make mistakes. It's through the mistakes that we learn things. We learn how to do things better. This is not a perfect Trapper Keeper, but this is for me, so I'm okay with that. You know, it is what it is. Love it, folks. Here it is. How fabulous. I'm going to put a clip on the back. Should I do the silver or should I do the red? I kind of like the red because everything's red. So there's a clip for the back. And the last thing that this thing needs is a charm. Because you can't have a charm, any type of journal, without a charm. So there you go, folks. Today's Trapper Keeper, brought to you by Girly Junk and Craftsmith. I am not sponsored, but this is the paper that I used if you want, guys. All right. Love to see you guys try it. Happy crafting.